It's Not Your Fault is a podcast for parents, caregivers, and young people navigating the world and its challenges. Here's your host, Brandon Jones.
Greetings and welcome back to another installment of It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. I am your host, Brandon Jones. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about when AI gets it wrong. When AI gets it wrong and how it plays a role in the well being of young people. Of late, I have come across something called AI psychosis. I don't know if you've heard of this. If you haven't, I highly recommend that you do a Google search or go on YouTube and check out some videos. But don't panic when you do. Ultimately, what AI psychosis is people have been using AI to cope with stress, anxiety, other problems. And as they're using AI to cope with it, it's literally driving them to psychosis. Or as my grandmother would say, it's driving them crazy, boy. Yes, it's driving these people crazy to a certain extent. Now, I'm bringing this to you because, again, we have to pay attention. AI is in everything. It's everywhere, and it's just getting bigger and better, and it's just going to keep on coming. We can't run from AI. We can't assume that we're not going to participate in it because it's going to participate in the things that we need to survive, which means that it's going to be in children's education, which means it's going to have an impact on our minds and our worldviews. So, I wanted to share a little bit of something with you all. There was a article that came out in Associated Press that talked about the article talked about ChatGPT. There was a study on ChatGPT, and the article talked about it and how harmful it can be when giving advice to teens. So, the Associated Press recently reported a concerning study showing that ChatGPT and similar AI chatbots can give harmful mental health advice to teens, sometimes suggesting self-harm or providing inaccurate information when promoted or when prompted with emotionally charged or dangerous questions. As AI tools become more common in the lives of young people, this raises an important question. Who really who's really guiding our teens when they're in crisis, and are we going to do enough? And what are we going to do? Is what we're doing enough? So, here in the podcast, I like to talk to parents, caregivers, and youth workers, folks who work with young folks, and give ideas and suggestions on how we can do things that don't cost us any money, but do cost us a lot of time, a lot of focus, and engagement. And this was such to scare you to a certain extent because there are young people who are confiding in their devices to help them with some serious things in their lives. And I want to caution us adults. I want to caution us to think that just because it's through the internet or through a device that it's not real. This is very real. Technology has turned a corner, and just like when the internet was a big boom in the late 90s, early 2000s, this is the next revolution. AI and virtual reality VR are the things that are here, and we have to figure out how to work with these things as tools and adjust as we go. We can't assume that we're not going to use these things because that is not an option. You will use AI. You have no choice. And AI will be a part of your child's development. So it's best to understand these things and not necessarily run away from them. So, since I say that, and I read this article, it's important for us to understand the risk of AI advice for teens. There are AI tools like ChatGPT that can provide helpful information when used appropriately, but they aren't therapists, they aren't mentors, they're not coaches, they're not spiritual leaders, and technically, they're not really even safe spaces to a certain extent. Now, I want to be very clear. You can train your AI to do a lot of different things for you, but I think that this is one of those human connection things that AI can't replicate today, but it may be able to replicate in the future. So I'm going to bank on today, and I'm going to encourage us as people, human beings, to connect as best as we can with young people so that they're not going to be so device dependent. And I know this as a father. I can put a tablet in front of any one of my kids and they can be entertained for hours. They barely will breathe. They may use the bathroom. They may want a snack, but they're glued in. That's the power and strength in these devices. So when you have an AI that can, share information with you, create things, and keep you entertained, it becomes even more fascinating. So again, ChatGPT can provide helpful information, but it also can provide unhelpful information and inappropriate information too. So most AIs right now are not trained to detect real-time mental health crises. You put something in there, you prompt it, and let's say you're suicidal, it may say, maybe ending your life is an option, and boom, now this young person is motivated by taking their own life. Um, you know, your AI also doesn't always understand the emotional nuances or cultural context of things. It's gonna get there at some point, but as far as where it's at today, we're not there. And also, the AI may prove to be inaccurate and even dangerous when responding if prompted to misleading or emotional complex input. So again, we have people who are leaning on AI. AI is a part of therapy now. It's doing case notes, treatment plans, and helping with diagnostic assessments. Pretty soon, and actually, there are AI companion apps that do play the role as like a mentor or a therapist, but they're not. That's different than the actual human being. But there are people who are connecting with this. So in the AP story, the researchers found that AI gave inappropriate responses to over half of the scenarios, especially the ones that were related to self-harm, eating disorders, or suicidal ideation. That is a big red flag for anyone who's taking care of young people or who cares about young people, because we know young people will ask their devices sometimes before they'll ask their parents and people that they trust what something is. And if they're getting negative information, that is impacting their worldview and what may come next. The other thing I want to talk about is just building digital literacy and emotional safety together. We cannot avoid technology. We cannot avoid AI. We cannot avoid virtual reality. We cannot avoid the internet. It's here. It's in everything, literally everything. So we have to play with the cards that we are dealt. We have to figure out how to utilize these tools to be tools and not main drivers for how we're supposed to operate in our lives. So instead of trying to ban AI altogether, which might only drive teams to use it even in secrecy, they might just say, "Screw you, screw the adults. We're going to do our own thing." We have to co-create guidelines and foster open dialogue around technology use with young people. So what you can do, you can ask your team, how they're using AI. Have them show you. Is it in school? Are they doing it for fun? Are they doing it when they're upset? Are they asking personal questions to the AI? You can model responsible use of AI. If you're someone who's using whatever, you can say, "Hey, look it, I'm using it in my email, or I'm using it to correct my writing, or I'm using it to process through information, or whatever." Right? So show that AI can be helpful and fun and creative, and not just for emotional support or decision making when someone's distressed. And then you can also educate about the limitations, but this means you have to do your own work too. So I know a lot of adults don't understand all this AI stuff, which means you're gonna have to put your thinking caps on and do some investigation, and investing. You have to invest some time in really understanding what this AI stuff is all about. So you want to make sure that the youth knows that AI isn't a replacement for trusted adults, counselors, or even crisis lines. But it may help you think through things, but don't let it be the thing that influences your actions, so to say. It can give you information, but it should not give you direction. The third thing that I want to mention is that, be the first line of emotional support for your children. You want to try to do that to the best of your ability. As parents, caregivers, and youth workers, we want to try to make sure that the young people know that they can come to us for anything, and that we are a trusted source, and they don't have to rely on the devices that they keep in their bags or in their pockets. So teens often turning to AI tools because they feel isolated, they feel misunderstood, they're afraid of being judged, and this means that what? This means that relationship building is going to be your best defense. Building that authentic rapport, and I almost say that every podcast, but it's very true. You have to build relationships with the children around you, even if they're your own kids. You're like, "That's my child. I don't need to build a relationship with." Yes, you do. You don't need to become your child's best friend, but you do need to be friendly with your child. Keep the power dynamic there as best as you can, but this group of young people that we have today is not who you were when you were a young person. The respect, the connection, the advice, the level of conformity, all those things are impacted differently than what it was when you were a young person. It's just where we are in society. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it is what it is. So, as a parent, caregiver, or youth worker, you have to do your best to connect with these folks. So, you have to practice this mindset. Here's something to help you. You want to be the first stop for your young person, not the last resort. You want to be the first stop for your young person, not the last resort. Check-ins matter. Make sure you're checking in with a young person in your life. Regular conversations about stress, friends, school, online behavior. Always keep those doors open to have those conversations. A lot of young people are going to say, I'm good, it's nothing. Yeah, they're going to keep it short with you, but you have to keep prompting. Pay attention to their engagement, their activity. Ask questions. Ask them to show you things. It will be annoying, but it's going to help. And then affirm without fixing. I mentioned this on several episodes now, but this is one of the things that's really hard for adults because we love the kids in our lives, but we have to be affirming and not always fixing. Sometimes teens don't want advice; they just want atonement, right? They want you. They want to hear you say things like, "That sounds really hard. I'm here for you," and then that can go way further sometimes than actually giving a solution. So don't try to always fix it and solve a problem. Sometimes it's about just affirming and understanding where they're coming from. And then lastly, it wouldn't be right if I didn't say this, but you want to try to create a trusted circle of human support. You want to make sure that teens know where they can go to turn for help with real humans, not just with screens. One of the biggest places that they can do that is 988. That is the suicide and crisis line. Again, that's 988. There are some other things as well. There's this teen specific text line. It's called the crisis text line. And what you can do is you can text home, HOME, home to 741741. 741741. Text home, and that's a way for you to engage with an actual person who's there to answer your questions in a text engagement. And then also, we want to definitely lean on the actual people resources we have: school counselors, therapists, youth pastors, mentors, neighbors, parents, caregivers, siblings, aunts, uncles, family members. We need to lean on the humans as best as we can. And we got to create those opportunities for us to connect with one another. So I want to encourage the youth to build their support team, right? Who do you go to? Who do you go to for support? Who do you talk to about what? You don't have to talk to everybody about the same thing, but try to build a support team of at least 2 to 3 people that they know they can go to without any fear or judgment, and they can get the help that they need. And then, I want to advocate for ethical AI use. I don't think that we need to take the AI away from kids because good luck. It's in a lot of things and it's going to become in more things. But as AI becomes more integrated into education, healthcare, youth services, and even parenting, one thing that we have to do is we have to push for guardrails. We have to make sure that we're monitoring it as best as we can. So that means you need to get involved, ask school districts and youth programs how they're handling AI use. You need to support legislation and ethical boards that focus on youth safety with digital tools. And you need to partner with mental health organizations to co-create safer tools and messaging as well. So your voice matters, which means you're going to have to get engaged if you really want good help and outcomes. And my final thought on this is teens need real talk, not just tech. Teens need real talk, not just tech. Technology will keep evolving, but the role of caring, emotional, intelligent adults will always be essential. No matter how great this technology gets, you will still be important in the lives of your children. So when AI gets it wrong, we must be the ones who get it right. So let's show up with curiosity and not control. Let's listen before we lecture. And let's make sure that in a world full of voices, our teens still trust ours the most. Because if they lose the trust in you, the AI will be right there to give them something that they can believe in. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me today. I am Brandon Jones. This is It Is Not Your Fault, a teen mental health podcast. There's 3 ways that you can connect with us. The first is on the Facebook group. Go ahead to Facebook, go to the search bar, put in It's Not Your Fault podcast. You can find us, like us there, get quality information and episodes right there on Facebook. Second place is at my personal website, www.jegna.org. That's jegna.org, jegna.org, where you can get connected to myself. And if you like me, there's a good chance that you're going to like the podcast network that I'm a part of because there's a plethora of amazing podcasters there. And that network is ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. That's ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me on today's episode. I wanted to encourage you to be safe, be constructive, and be well. And we'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Peace.
To check out previous episodes of It's Not Your Fault or to learn more about Brandon Jones, log on to ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Shaletta makes you laugh, but did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast-quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
When I walked across that stage at my high school graduation, I was excited, but confused about my next step. Then I walked through the doors at Doherty Family College. Doherty Family College is part of the University of St. Thomas. It's a 2-year college that lets you earn an associate's degree and puts you on a path to your bachelor's degree. Classes are small, so I have a personal relationship with professors committed to my success. Like the name says, they treat us like family. They call us scholars because they believe we could do anything we put our minds to. They set us up for excellence with free tutoring, and that's not the only thing that's free. Laptops, books, even breakfast and lunch, and bus fare. That's part of the package here at Doherty Family College. It's even free to apply. So do like I did. Go to dfc.stthomas.edu and set up a tour. We'd be excited to welcome you to our family here at Doherty Family College.
To keep my home running smooth, I count on Xfinity Internet. With 99.9% reliability, we're all online at once. No slowdowns. The Xfinity app lets me manage our Wi-Fi and keep things secure. Xfinity makes it easy.